made the cut. We've got the highlights as they fight for their lives. It's coming up next on Cobb Prep Rally. Hello, Cobb County, and welcome to a special playoff edition of Cobb Prep Rally. Hi, my name is Scott Kozlowski.
And I'm Kevin Whaley of the Marietta Daily Journal.
And as always, we're coming to you from Ruby Tuesday Restaurant talking Cobb County high school football. We have 3 big playoff games for you tonight. But before we start, Kevin, I want to brag a little bit about American Cheerleading. Of course, you've seen their ads all year long here on Cobb Prep Rally, and no doubt you've seen also their great offer. The first month of cheerleading at American Cheerleading is always free. So remember, it's the #1 cheerleading center in Atlanta, and it's never too late to start cheering and having fun at American Cheerleading. Now, having said that, let's go ahead and jump into our first playoff game of the night. This one between Harrison and Douglas. Both teams coming in at 10-1. Harrison making their first trip to the state playoffs in school history. How would they fare? Kurt Wadler has the highlights.
Harrison travels to Douglas High for their first state playoff game. The Astros have won 9 straight, and on their first possession, they show why. Dwight Platt drops the ball in beautifully to Robert Camardi, who had gotten behind the Hoya defenders, and quickly they're up 7-0. But the Hoyas will come right back. Daniel Cobb lays the ball into Corey Patterson's hands, and he goes the distance. The point after is no good, and it's 7-6. Douglas's Sean Ringfield's 54-yard touchdown run would make it 14-6. But Cobb again gets the Hoyas moving. Adam Ditto makes the catch, and they move the chains. On 3rd down and long, Cobb drops back. He looks for the end zone, but David Luck is there to make the interception. And now it's time for the Jamal Lewis show. The junior running back explodes through the line, and folks, they ain't gonna get him. 94 yards, and Douglas goes into the break up 26-6. Lewis would open up the 3rd quarter in the same fashion, going 62 yards for another score, but Harrison would drive again, but this time Anwan Tigner would be the bad guy. He picks off Cobb at the goal line, and thus enter Lewis again. For an encore, the Astros running back would break loose for 82 yards. He'd finish the game with 258 yards, 3 touchdowns on just 8 carries. But Coach Cobley's team has a lot of heart and pride, and they're not about to give up this fight. Marcus Tillman takes the handoff and shows he's got some speed and moves of his own. And then Cobb play-action fakes and shows he's not just all arm. Looks like a page right out of Steve Young's playbook. And no Hoya game is complete without saying Cobb drops back to pass. He's got Eric McCulkey open. What a catch! Touchdown Hoyas! But tonight, Douglas was just too much and win this one to advance.
Kevin, Harrison's usually potent offense comes out and sputters in this one and gets beat pretty badly.
Well, in the playoffs, you need to be able to run the football, and Harrison was not able to run the football early or late in this one. Their passing game is good with Daniel Cobb and Eric McCulkey, but if you can't run the football against a team like Douglas, you're going to have trouble moving the ball. And, of course, defensively, they struggled as well. Jamal Lewis, the great running back from Douglas, 260 yards. Douglas jumped on them early, and with their speed, Harrison was never able to recover.
Well, you mentioned, their offense. They had 77 yards rushing compared to 420 for Douglas, and you can never win with that kind of lopsided rushing total. But if you look overall at this team's record over this year, 10-2. There are only 2 losses coming to ranked teams, McEachern and then to Douglas. So it's a pretty impressive year.
Well, easily their best season, obviously, in their history. Their school, their first winning season, and they go to the state playoffs. Great job by Bruce Cobley. Got to be Cobb County's Coach of the Year. The other teams, McEachern, Marietta, the talent, expected to get to those state playoffs every year. But Harrison, out of nowhere in 4 years, basically starting from scratch, now a state playoff team, and I think they're going to be there probably a couple more times in the 90s.
Wow. Well, let's move on to our next game now and talk a little bit about Clark Central and Marietta. Now, Marietta, probably Cobb County's best chance of going deep into the playoffs, playing against Clark Central, a team they played twice early in the 90s. Both times they played them in the quarterfinals, and they split both games. Would they win this year? Here are the highlights. After picking against the Blue Devils, our own Kevin Whaley had the guts to be on hand, enjoying a pregame snack. Clark Central would win the toss, and on their second play from scrimmage, give it to number 9, a great name for a running back, Emmett Smith. And just like his namesake, he is gone. 80 yards for the score, and just like that, 7-0 Gladiators, giving those Clark Central fans something to cheer about. Marietta would put together a drive on their first possession, and it's Travis Zachary adding the exclamation point with a 7-yard scamper, tying it up at 7. Then the Blue Devil defense comes up with a big play. They stop the run, but the ball pops out, and Brian Scales is there to scoop it up. He dashes 19 yards for the touchdown. Marietta led it 14-7, still in the first quarter.
Big Mo was on Marietta's side, but not for long, as Jimmy Treichman takes the ball on Clark Central's first play after the kickoff, and you guessed it, gone. Another 80-yard touchdown run. We have a 14-14 tie. Coach Friday had to be wondering what had happened to his defense. I'll tell you what, he'd keep on wondering, because on Clark's next possession, Joey Dillard would fire the deep ball to Michael Greer. He reels it in. That would set up a Treichman 21-yard touchdown run. It's 21-14 Clark. Hey, isn't that Joe Washington? Well, on to the second. Marietta's offense put it together, another long drive. And it's capped by Zachary on this 4-yard touchdown run. It was 21-21. Hey, and you don't figure Clark could come up with another big play? Or do you? Dillard, another bomb. It's on the money to Michael Greer. This one for 59 yards. Clark's offense on fire. They went into the locker room with a 28-21 lead. Marietta fans keeping the faith. Keytron Thornton would deliver the 6-yard touchdown run in the fourth quarter, and we're tied once again, 28-all. Marietta won't go away. But guess what? Yes, another game breaker for the Gladiators. Dillard, again with a perfect pass to Greer, 72 yards and a 35-28 lead. Late in the fourth, on 4th and 2, the Blue Devils get stopped, and things beginning to look grim. James Marshall would be the next big playmaker for Clark. On this 33-yard run, the Gladiators weren't on the field much, but when they were, they made it count. Marshall would put the nail in the coffin with this interception, as Clark Central and their big plays would go on to beat Marietta by a final 42-28.
On the scoreboard that Clark Central only had 3 first downs in this one compared to 19 for Marietta. If you were to look at that stat, you would say, oh, Marietta blew them out. But that wasn't the case in this one.
Well, statistics can lie, and that was a perfect example. 19 first downs for Marietta and 3 for Clark Central, but you don't need first downs when you score the first time you touch the football. Every one of their touchdowns was more than 21 yards, a couple of them 70 yards, 80 yards. Every snap, they scored, and it just seemed like Marietta just could not stop them defensively. Everything they tried did not work, and Clark Central is a different team than they have been in the past. They don't just run the football, they can throw the football, and you saw that evidence, 2 long touchdown passes, 3 long passes overall, and Marietta's defense just could not adjust to that.
And all those passes were right on the money as well. We were talking a little bit about their big plays. All of those big plays happened when Marietta seemed to get that momentum, seemed to be taking over. They got that fumble recovery for a touchdown, took the lead. The next play after the kickoff, Clark Central goes for a big run, ties it up, then gets another big play to take the lead.
Well, momentum is huge in football, and Marietta in this game seemed to have the momentum on their side. They scored, made it 28-28 early fourth quarter, and it seemed like they were ready to take over the game, and all of a sudden, Clark Central makes another big play. They did it the whole game. And you have to give them credit. They did it the week before against Shiloh, and those are part of the game. You know, you love the long touchdown drives, but the big play can really hurt you, and it really hurt Marietta.
Well, this is a team with a lot of talent, like I said earlier. Really a big hope for Cobb County in getting far into the playoffs. Has to be a little bit disappointing with all the talent for Coach Friday.
I'm sure it's a little frustrating after making the semifinals last season with a lot of young kids, but they'll be back. There's too much talent there not to get back to the state playoffs next year.
And one of those players that will be back is LeBron Mitchell, who coincidentally is this week's Sylvan Learning Center Player of the Week. Congratulations to LeBron. A good game for him, but I'm sure he would have rather had the win.
I'm sure he would have. You've heard of the sophomore jinx. He kind of had a junior jinx this year. Kind of struggled at times, but you have to give him credit. When it counted late in the season, state playoffs, he did his job.
Well, we'll certainly see a lot more of him next year for sure. Well, last week we went out to Harrison High School to present our Sylvan Learning Center Player of the Week to Daniel Cobb. Here's a look at the presentation. We're here at Harrison High School to present this week's Sylvan Learning Center Player of the Week. This week's award goes to Daniel Cobb of the Harrison Hoyas. Nice job, Daniel. We're here with Daniel's offensive line. One of the reasons Daniel is this week's Player of the Week. The Harrison offensive line has only allowed 10 sacks in 11 games. Pretty impressive stat, and one of the reasons Daniel is this week's Player of the Week, he wanted to take this time to recognize them. Travis Sullivan playing left tackle, left guard Wes Mobley, center Stephen Haig, right guard Scott Robbins, right tackle Brad Alecki, and tight end Chris Reeves. Congratulations, Daniel, on being this week's Player of the Week. There's more to come on this playoff edition of Cobb Prep Rally. When we return, we'll introduce you to one colorful Wildcat. He's this week's team leader honoree. Then it's back to the highlights as McEachern gets a rematch with Southwest DeKalb. And for all the best blunders, catch our plays of the week. They're coming up next on Cobb Prep Rally.
High school athletes, tired of sitting on the bench? Want to play college ball? Finally, a training facility just for you has come to Cobb County. Introducing USA Strength and Conditioning. We train athletes like athletes with programs to improve athletic skills in your specific sport. USA Strength and Conditioning also guarantees results or your money back. Endorsed by All-Pro Falcon Mike Ken. The call is free. Your results are guaranteed. Call USA Strength and Conditioning now. That's 499-7376 in Town Center Plaza next to Workout America.
I knew the written test would be easy. Just look at the sample questions in the driver's manual. Bingo. Right, Shady? That's the sign for hotels. This sign means snakes in the area. Ah, who cares? Do it right with right-of-way.
This announcement is only for high school athletes and parents searching for college athletic scholarship money. If you are not receiving calls and letters from college recruiters, but you still want to play in college, you need to call this number immediately. Calling this number may entitle you to more leads, more exposure, and more peace of mind. Best of all, the call is free. Find out why everyone else is succeeding and you're not. You'll be surprised at what you learn.
I knew the written test would be easy. Just look at the sample questions in the driver's manual. Bingo. Right, Shady? That's the sign for hotels. This sign means snakes in the area. Ah, who cares? Do it right with right-of-way.
School was a nightmare.
I mean, math was just probably the hardest subject. I would have to read everything over and over again.
My grades were so bad, they took me off the team.
I got off frantic-key.
I was always behind.
I thought I was pretty dumb.
That's why I called Sylvan.
Sylvan was the answer.
I love it.
It all came together at Sylvan.
Now I get A's, straight A's.
I'm back on the team.
I know I can do it.
Sylvan was worth every penny.
I think I'm a pretty smart kid.
Sylvan Learning Center. Better grades are just the beginning. Call 1-800-EDUCATE. That's 1-800-EDUCATE.
Christmas is only days away. Call the Prep Rally at 634-7373 for your best moments on home videotape. Every tackle, catch, block, and run on your own highlight tape. Call before Christmas or recruiting season passes you by. The 1995 personal highlight tape only from the Prep Rally.
Welcome back, Cobb County. Are you ready to meet this week's Team Leader of the Week? Wheeler's Harris Rainbow gets the honor this week. He wears number 70 and plays offensive tackle for the Wildcats. Coach Herron's very proud of this young man, saying since day one, his hard work and dedication has been an inspiration to all, making him a leader on and off the field. In the classroom, Harris carries a 3.0 grade point average, and he scored 1,140 on the SAT. He's interested in the medical field, and one day we just may be calling him Dr. Harris Rainbow. But today, we'll just be proud to call him Cobb Prep Rally's Team Leader of the Week.
Tonight's Team Leader of the Week is brought to you by Fisher Educational Consultants. Get your application process off on the right foot. Call 399-9333. Well, congratulations to Harris Rainbow out there at Wheeler High School, a big part of a very successful year for them this year.
No doubt, Scott. Harris is one of the Wildcats' more colorful players.
Well, let's move on. It's a good one, Kevin. Let's move on to our next game now between Southwest DeKalb and McEacher. Now, this is an interesting matchup for one reason, in that last year they played in the first round of the playoffs at Southwest, and McEacher lost it in a close battle. This year they're playing at McEacher. Let's see what happens. Our own Matt Powell has the highlights.
The road to the state championship took a stop at McEacher Friday night when the Panthers of Southwest DeKalb stopped by, and the Panthers looked hot from the start. Early in the first, they drove down the field, culminating with this scramble by Quincy Carter and a 12-yard touchdown pass to Micah Hall, giving the Southwest DeKalb Panthers a 7-0 lead. McEacher tried to bounce right back, but they couldn't get their offense going as Darrell Tucker gets wrapped up for a loss. And on the Panthers' next drive in the first, running back Arvin Richard takes the ball from the 40-yard line all the way down in for another Panther score. And at the end of the first, McEacher was down 14-0. Coach Jones gets some clarification on the rules of the game, and in the second, the Indian woes continued. A.J. Suggs can't get away from the Panthers, who at this point completely shut down the Indians' offense and the fans' interest. So once again, in the second, the Panthers marched down the field. Quarterback Quincy Carter was full of big plays like this one to Micah Hall, setting up another touchdown and a 21-0 lead. And in the third, Coach Godfrey didn't sweat, as this time Arvin Richard takes the ball in from the 11, giving the Panthers a 28-0 lead. But the game's not over, and A.J. Suggs, trying to be a miracle worker, lost one deep, and Brad Ware somehow brings it down, finally giving the Indians some points. And on the Indians' next drive, Brad Ware makes a great leap, brings down the ball, and then goes 48 yards for another Indian touchdown. This brings the score to 28-14, and there's still plenty of time left. Starting to lose the momentum that they once had, Arvin Richards misses the pitch, and Indian Alex Allen recovers, and on 4th and 1, Jason Walden marches in. It's now 28-21. There's a minute left in the game, so here comes the onside kick. If they can pull it off, they'll have a chance to tie it up. But Southwest DeKalb recovers, and they hold on, almost blowing a 28-point lead. They hold on and eliminate McEachern 28-21.
Kevin, Southwest DeKalb jumps out to a 21-0 halftime lead, make it then 28-0 in the third quarter. It was some fumbles that helped them do it. That's not what you want to do in a playoff game.
Well, you work the whole week on your game plan, everything's set, and then on the first play from scrimmage you fumble, and all of a sudden everything is out the door, and McEachern had to regroup. They didn't in the first half. It was one of the more ugly first halves in McEachern history probably, but you have to give them credit. They did rally in the second half and make it competitive.
Well, yeah, after the 28 points that Southwest scored, they held them for no more points and scored 21 straight. So their defense did show up, but maybe a little too late. They probably would like to have this one back and play it again.
Well, I'm sure Southwest DeKalb was playing a little what we call prevent defense in the second half and gave up some scores. But you have to give McEachern credit. They got back within the touchdown and gave themselves a chance to win the state playoff game. But that early deficit was just too much to overcome.
At any rate, another great year for McEachern. Do you think Jimmy Dorsey not being there had any effect on this game?
I don't think so. I think when you get to this point, you play this many games under basically the same coaching staff's been there forever. I don't think it had any effect. I think Southwest DeKalb's talent had more of an effect.
Well, we've certainly seen a lot of games all year, and most of them have those embarrassing blunders that people would rather not relive. But we're going to do it anyway. Here are this week's Plays of the Week. Tonight's Plays of the Week are brought to you by College-Bound Student Athletes. Call College-Bound Student Athletes and take advantage of every athletic scholarship opportunity. Call 919-2320. Well, coming up next on Cobb Prep Rally, this little devil gets crazy with this week's Pizza Connection Place Kick Contest. Then we'll send up a cheer for our cheerleader of the week. So don't go anywhere. Cobb Prep Rally has plenty more in store right after this.
Through with bad hair days? Create your brand new look at Hair Pizzazz in Marietta with Essentials by Matrix. Ask a stylist for your very own Matrix makeover. And guys, you deserve to look good too. Get a cut and style that will give her something to talk about. Ladies, maybe you're ready to change your look with a little color. Either way, make sure to look your best this Friday night. Major stress reduction is also available with our special Vibrasound experience. Next time, make a date with Matrix Essentials at Hair Pizzazz, Johnson Ferry Road in the Woodlawn Plaza.
It's a sad story. You go to a pizza place and the pie is cold, the dough is like a day-old chewing gum, and there's never enough for the family. Well, here's an offer you can't refuse. The Pizza Connection in East Cobb says get ready for the ultimate pizza experience. Do not eat for 24 hours before you come into the Pizza Connection on Monday and Wednesday, because we will stuff you on buffet night. Yeah, we will. Plus, stromboli and calzone made from scratch. Every night is family night and all teams are welcome. It's Party Central at the Pizza Connection, Canton Road in Marietta, next to Shaw Park. High school athletes, tired of sitting on the bench? Want to play college ball? Finally, a training facility just for you has come to Cobb County. Introducing USA Strength and Conditioning. We train athletes like athletes with programs to improve athletic skills in your specific sport. USA Strength and Conditioning also guarantees results or your money back. Endorsed by All-Pro Falcon Mike Ken. The call is free. Your results are guaranteed. Call USA Strength and Conditioning now. That's 499-7376 in Town Center Plaza next to Workout America. This announcement is only for high school athletes and parents searching for college athletic scholarship money. If you are not receiving calls and letters from college recruiters, but you still want to play in college, you need to call this number immediately. Calling this number may entitle you to more leads, more exposure, and more peace of mind. Best of all, the call is free. Find out why everyone else is succeeding and you're not.
Christmas is only days away. Call the Prep Rally at 634-7373 for your best moments on home videotape. Every tackle, catch, block, and run on your own highlight tape. Call before Christmas or recruiting season passes you by. The 1995 personal highlight tape only from the Prep Rally.
Hello again, everybody, and welcome to tonight's Pizza Connection Place Kick Contest. Billy Rice, our contestant out at Marietta. His first kick, and whoa, the holder lets go of that one way before he was ready to kick it. That's right, it's no good. His second kick is on the way, and it's a beauty. Straight down the middle, it's good. This one, for all the marbles and the free pizza, but whoa, he pushes it off to the right, and darn the luck.
Well, thank you very much, Billy Rice, for taking part in our Pizza Connection Place Kick Contest. If that holder would have just held on to that first ball, I had a feeling you were going to win the free pizza at great form. Well, thanks to the Pizza Connection on Canton Road. And Kevin, we want to take a second to recognize two local companies who have been generous enough to support Cobb Prep Rally. First, Sylvan Learning Centers in Cobb and Cherokee. Sylvan is the leading national company with excellent roots here.